Center Heist Productions. It is March 22nd, 2024. Please first hit the likes and subscribe down in your right hand corner. Muchly appreciated. Please don't leave without doing that. It would really help me and it will advance the channel. Alright, so this is a review of last night's game, which drags us into the wee hours of the morning here. I despise these late games. Anyway, kind of went the way I figured it would go. It could have been worse. I didn't enjoy this game at all. I found it very flat. Um, all I seen out of this was really that you're looking at a team when we played the Canucks that was just a team that had much more talent, basically, to have the finishing touches. And that's, really was the difference. You had more high caliber players offensively that were more of a threat. Zadorov had a phenomenal game, was the star of the game easily. Casey DeSmith had a strong game. Monty was okay. Savard had a couple lapses. He was on the ice for a couple goals. Didn't take his man in front of the net on both occasions. Didn't tie up his man or the stick. But hey, we know that he does struggle with that at times. It's something they all could use improvement on. But tends to be him and Matheson can't get guys wrapped up very easily. So anyway, the final score, no surprises. 4-1 Canucks. We were just fortunate enough to crack the egg. That was pretty much it. Slavkovsky gets the only goal, nice goal, that he got with a beautiful deflection. So game starts off 2-0 for Vancouver in the first period. Then a goal. They swapped goals in the second, and Vancouver got another one in the third. Final score for 2-1. And Casey DeSmith versus Montembeault. And you kind of knew they weren't going to try Primo against the Canucks. They're probably saving him for Seattle. I think they try to keep the bigger teams online for Monty to play. Primo probably would have got blown out of the water. Like it would have been a lot deeper of a score. So first start is Zadorov, which he deserved, 2 goals plus 2. Mikhailov, he had a pretty good game, 2 assists, and he was a plus 2. He had a strong game. He always seems to have a strong game against the Habs. And Casey DeSmith allowed 1 goal, 16 saves, and he had a strong, good game. Mind you, not a lot of shots. So really, it seemed to be a case of the game was, in the beginning, was close until Vancouver scored. And then it just seemed like things started falling apart once that happened. So it was late in the first period. Nikita at 15:38, Zadorov assisted by Mikhailov and Lindholm. That was your first goal. And then 19:33, Zadorov gets another one. Mikhailov and Lafferty assist. And then the second period, Connor Garland gets one, assisted by Teddy Bluger. And 19:07, Yuri Slavkovsky, assisted by Cole Caulfield. A nice setup, nice shot from the point, and great deflection. That was just a beautiful, right in front of the net where he does a lot of damage when he goes to the net. He just seems to he wins his battles on the board. When he goes to the net, he's always effective. He's coming along quite nicely, and good to see. So then, anyway, we get to the third period. That was all the fight you were going to get out of the Habs. It was really, clearly, the Canucks in the third. Mills, Amon, assisted by Tyler Myers and Vasily Pelzogin. And here at the final shot, stats were 25 to 17 in shots for Vancouver. Not really outstandingly high. Um, Hits 40 to 24. They were all over us physically. I didn't like our pushback whatsoever. We didn't have enough pushback. Uh, would have liked to seen them, a response. Face-offs 27 to 23 for us. Power play 0 for 3 for us, 0 for 4. We did good on the penalty kill. Uh, and we had one instant there that they had a 5-on-3. So we did quite well in the penalty kill. Penalty minutes 10 to 8 for the Habs. Giveaways 4 apiece. Takeaways 12 to 4 for the Canucks. Block shots 18 to 12 for the Canadians. Uh, First period penalty summary. Nick Suzuki at 9:46, 2 minutes for tripping. You don't see him going there too often. 10:40, served by too many men. Brendan Gallagher, and that was a sloppy, real sloppy, and that's what caused the two-man advantage. Just sloppy. Brendan Gallagher served it for the team. 16:42, Caden Gooley gets 2 minutes for interference. Second period, it's Tyler Myers at 2:36. He gets 2 minutes for holding the stick. 7:18, Sam Lafferty, 2 minutes for tripping. 11:04, the Arbor-Jack got 2 minutes for roughing. Connor Garland, 2 minutes for unsportsmanlike conduct, served by Vasily Pajolkin. And 11:04, Connor Garland, 2 minutes for roughing. Third period, Arbor-Jack 2 minutes for roughing. And really, some of the penalty calls there were kind of iffy, but it didn't really matter. We were in this game for the first 15 minutes of the first period, and then after that it was just all Vancouver. We had spurts. The first line played all right. Defense was, like I said, we had a couple lapses, and then sadly enough, David Spurd was responsible for a couple of those. Did a great job of screening Monty. Overall, though, other than that, it was just the physical aspect. There was no reply from the Habs, but the talent level is just, there's such drastic differences there. That's a team. I didn't find that, other than they played a good physical game against us, but this could have been a much closer game had we had more scoring potential. It seemed for me that second line where it was effective when we had Waugh. I didn't like what I seen from it. I found now poor Armia's got really no help on that line. I just don't like it. There's no one to fill in the role there. Pretty sad looking, to tell you the truth, and it just didn't look good at all. Tanner Pearson he gets doesn't get much praise, but he works his tush off, but he's just not producing. Galley had an okay game at moments, but in his own end, he just leaves far too much space, and he's gets caught a lot. It's kind of him and Savard speed wise in their own end kind of lack. But other than that, I'd say the first line, Armia and Jake Evans, were pretty much it. Everybody else was asleep. Harvey Pinard, I don't even know what he's doing with the Habs anymore, to tell you the truth. Why he hasn't been sent down is beyond me. I knew this kid, nothing against him. I just knew we were looking at another Charles Hudon. And it's clear as plain as day. This guy's going to be fine in the AHL. He's an AHL producer on a regular basis. He got fluky last year with all the injuries. He'll never be able to match up to being a first liner, so he's not going to be able to produce. Um, he brings, and he does have a nice defensive game for penalty kills and stuff like that in that area, but he's just far too small. He's far too small. He's just he's ineffective. Um, New Hope didn't impress me. Uh, Pizzetta didn't impress me. Pizzetta, one or two hits, you see him, uh, and then you didn't really see him the rest of the night. Um, Josh Anderson, that's a joke. So we know that's a joke. Ineffective. There's just no, other than the first line, that's all you had. Now that we don't have Roy there, that makes one huge difference. And there's not much to say other than we know we expected it. We were just well outmatched all the way around. This is a team that's gelled together nicely. The Canucks now, they've come a long ways. And that you looked at them a couple of years ago, and they had the talent there. They just hadn't put it together. No one could figure out why. But good coaching on Tocchet's part. Habs, I was just disappointed when you got a guy like Pizzetta and even Jacky. For me, when your team is out of the game to that degree, the coach has got to understand and let your players try to spark up the team. And tonight would have been the perfect time for somebody to drop the gloves. This was the type of game they needed. They needed some type of spark because they were outmatched. They were getting hit left, right, and center. I mean, Vancouver was all over our defense, just pounding them to the boards. Um, didn't look good. It wasn't an impressive game, but we were outmatched by talent. Very simple. I mean, there was a goal there that you know Jack I cut it. The player coming in, Garland, and so Garland couldn't make cut in, so he had to take the shot. That one there, Monty should have had. You couldn't ask any more for Jack Eye the way he handled it. Goalie was out of position. Um, Jack Eye handled it well and keeping Garland to the outside, but Garland with that fantastic shot beat Monty. And for me, Monty had to have that one. That one really was the one that I think Monty needed to have. Other than that, I think the rest of them, there was not much help. They just had more talent. There was a nice shot from the point with the first goal from Zadorov, and quite a blast. But you had Savard trying to cover his man, and was more of a screen than anything. And he did that twice. Like the second time, the guy was in behind him, like the usual thing we're seeing, and then he can't catch up on the spacing. Just not a great showing. But tank, baby, tank. That's what we want. Because, the way it's looking, to be honest, we'll be lucky if we can get into sixth from the bottom, because I don't think we can catch the bottom five. Um, with us, grabbing points like we've been grabbing points with Edmonton, even though it's like dragging people to overtime, it's killing us. I think if we could have lost a couple more games in regulation out of those last few, we might have had a chance to get to fifth. But I think the way the teams are below us, they're not winning enough. Whether it be on the off nights or the nights of. I mean, both Buffalo and Ottawa lost tonight. So what does that tell you? Just it didn't help the matter for the Habs. So that being said, that's what it was. I say yes to the tank, and if it keep us in sixth or seventh, better placement than us trying to push any higher than that. But thank God the season's coming close to an end, because that was a brutal game to watch. It was good for the first little bit. Like I said, the first 15 minutes. Once Vancouver got control, they just kept coming. And they were lambasting our boys, and we got to get more physical. Um, and like I say, for me, you know, we can sit there and people can say, "Oh, I liked Pizzetta too," but Pizzetta has not been Pizzetta this year. Now, mind you, he doesn't get as much ice time, but he doesn't have the talent whatsoever. So all you can do is hit, and he only does that for a little bit. Last year, he was hitting continually through games. Not seeing that from him this year as much as I like him. For me, when the next season goes through, I'd strongly look at uh, Pinard, Yolonen, and Pizzetta being moved down to Laval. And that's just the way I see it. I think we'll have Waugh up there. I think you might get lucky. You might. I mean, I'm very concerned because we've only really got two forwards. We got a great, big problem at defense. All the talent that's in Laval. But you look at our offense for what's in Laval and in the junior leagues, and our best threats are Massar and Beck. That's all we got a chance at, and they're small, so they're going to need insulation. And can they crack it and be effective? We're going to see. Uh, but other than that, there's nobody else down in there on the forward group. We're too small. We're far too small. You're going to see a lot of houdin situations down there because, yeah, they got talent. It's not going to translate in the NHL. Like I say, though, I am looking forward to see how Ryan Backer's year goes because, like I say, a lot of people are underestimating him, I think. Yes, he had a bad year, but when you play for bad teams like that, I've been there. I've had that happen to me. And I can tell you, when I came out of it that much better of a player and being tops in the league. Uh, I think it's a great, it makes the guy work harder. So if he can go through that, then he comes over with some half decent. He's going to have skilled players on defense with him. Don't be surprised if he cracks the lineup uh, in the fall, because I think this guy, if he can return to that small sample size he showed us in preseason, he had the edge on Barron. He had the edge on Struble. He had the edge on Trudeau. And you could even debate, Neil and Derisi. So really, he had the edge of that group, and Mayu. He was ahead of them all. He had composure and he didn't get caught. He played defensively very sound. I think the only thing he really needs to do is, and we got to remember, he also had a shortened season where he had an injury, so that didn't help matters. So hopefully this little stint with Laval, it'll help the team boost into the playoffs, and it will help him with more ice time after that injury to get back up to snuff. I'm thinking he's going to beat somebody out on that right side, and that's what we need him to do. It's I think he's going to shock us. Like I said, I mean, I know I was for an offensive player in the draft, but I can say this much about the kid: he showed good composure. So it's going to depend on him bulking up for his size, not being so thin, and if he can get over that injury, the the remnants from it. I think and if he's mentally strong, I don't think he'll have as hard of a time as Slafkovsky. I think he adjusted. He didn't look out of place on the American ice. So I think he's one of the few freak of natures that won't have that big of a problem. But I think it's wise that he is doing his time in Laval for the remainder of this season. We'll see what happens. Anyway, thank you for joining me. God bless you. Where's Puck Drop First here at Center Ice Productions. We will catch you on the review of us at Seattle. I would say expect Primo in the net for that one. That's probably one we're going to win, and I don't want us to win. But it's looking that way. Although we've only got one line that can produce now. That was not there, and that's pretty depressing. Thank you for joining me, and we will catch you in the next one. God bless. Go Habs, go. Tank, tank, tank.